What is up? Welcome to this week's episode of Lambgoat's Vanflip podcast. I am once again joined by Scott Lee, the infamous Scott Lee.
Hello.
He's been on the podcast before. This is his second time. He's one of the few that we've had multiple times. So you're on a short list, my friend.
I think I feel privileged. You know?
Also got a puppy in the background if you haven't figured that out, audience. But
my dog is fucking in. Hey, come on.
It is what it is.
Okay, he's just like.
He knew that. He knew when we were going live. He knew when we were going live. He was just gonna get it. He was gonna use that as his opportunity to speak.
Being an asshole.
Yeah.
Why is it called Vanflip? I mean, I know what Vanflip came from because of Lambgoat and everything like that, but why did you guys choose that? Just curious.
Well, it was my call on that. Basically, what it was like it's a term that's synonymous with Lambgoat, and also I have very little experience in preparing, so. Most of the time, I just assume it's going to be a shit show on this thing, and that's just like synonymous with the two. I know that like people do get somewhat bummed out about the name, but it's synonymous with Lambgoat. It's been around the same almost as long as Lambgoat has, so it's just like if something was a term.
I back it.
What was that?
I backed the fuck out of it. I mean,
cool.
The nostalgia of it.
Okay.
I just the nostalgia of it. You know what I mean? It's like nobody wants. Listen, here's the first thing. I've dealt with so many, van flips in my whole career,
right?
Working with bands. I don't want anybody to flip a fucking van.
No,
don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But it's still very with the whole platform, Lambgoat and everything like that.
And honestly, I think only a select few people know what that actually is. That term is. Obviously, the core audience definitely knows. But if we're trying to grow and expand and do all this cool stuff and get more people to the website, more people into hardcore and metal. Those new people, I don't think, have a clue of what it is until we have someone who's been in a car accident on the road and they talk about their van flips, which we've done multiple times on here. I think earlier in the year, we had 3 episodes back to back of just each person had their own experience in a van flip.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, you got me off. No, yeah. You had me scared there for a second. I thought it was like, right out of the gate, he's going to come at me, but no, it's fine.
No, God, no.
No, and I've also flipped my SUV, which is technically not like a van or anything like that, but I've definitely flipped a car and gotten in a car accident, so I understand the severity of it. But it's also like a play on words, and to where if I can get everyone just synonymous with the podcast and van flip and not the actual terminology of what it actually stands for, that's a win too. In my book.
I back it. But okay, that was my question. But anyway, let's talk about New England Metal and Hardcore Festival.
We could talk about a lot of things. You do a lot of things. We got in contact via Tom from. He used to be in Vatican. He does a couple other things, fills in for other bands. I've seen him play with multiple other bands before in 1126 Records, which I don't know what your dealio is with that, but that's how we kind of linked up on this particular podcast again.
Well, Tom is right there.
Hey, Tom.
Hi.
So basically, 1126 Records is a record label that I own, and Tom runs basically. And Tom's a great human being. We go to the mall together. We hang out. It's cool. And he's a great human being. He works with us with the label and with working with the management company as well. He's a good human being.
Yeah, I think I knew he was playing in a couple of bands, and he's friends with a couple of bands that I kind of know as well. And I did hear that he had kind of started managing after Vatican, so that's kind of good for you, Tom.
Thank you.
Anyway,
you're epic.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Tom. You can show your face on camera if you wanted to, but I know you don't have.
We'll do that later.
Yeah,
do that.
Hold the dog down. Make sure the dog doesn't bark.
I think my wife's got that. Cool. So yeah, New England Metal and Hardcore Festival, September 21, 22. We're gonna have a pre-show party with God Forbid from New Jersey.
They're playing there Gone Forever in full, right?
Oh yeah. And then it's Sean the Butcher's birthday party, who's from Sirius Satellite Heavy Metal Radio. And that'll be a good time. But yeah, that's gonna be fun. I'm very excited about Kill Switch Engage 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
Makes me feel very fucking old, but that's okay.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does.
So are they. So are they.
You got Parkway too. Parkway doing one of their very few, North American dates too.
That was last year, bro.
Oh yeah, sorry. You're right.
Vanflip.
I told you. See, Podflip.
Podflip. There you go. Sweet. No, but this year, 25th anniversary Kill Switch Engage. And then we have the Mighty Slaughter to Prevail on the Sunday, and pretty excited about everything. It's gonna, it's a good time. It has Converge, it has Terror, it has Bane, it has Machine Head, it has Suicidal Tendencies, it has Nails, which everybody loves Nails. It's very funny. This is a funny thing. I'm going to tell you this. So we're trying to put together the schedule, and we have the 2 outdoor stages that go. One goes, and then the other one sets up, and when that one's, their set's done, it goes back and forth. But then we have the inside stages, the small like hardcore stage or whatever. But we don't. When Nails is playing, we don't know how. We can't put anybody against Nails.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who do you? There's no, but like even like your deathcore band, whatever. Everybody just loves fucking Nails. I'm sorry, it's what it comes down to. Like, you can't do that to anybody. Like, it's such a wrong thing. It's like, I don't know. We're trying to figure that out, but that's a big problem.
They also haven't played in a while, right? And they just started to release new music for the first time in almost a decade too.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah,
it's a lot of things to go up against.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think this is the best lineup we've done, in a very long time for the festival. Where it's like we have, like I said, we have Suicidal Tendencies, Converge, Nails, Azalea Dying, Overkill. I mean, Overkill's old as shit, and they're still killing it.
Yeah,
it's fucking great. I love that band. I love those dudes. They're fucking the nicest people in the world too.
How hectic is it to book something like this? Because it's such a large lineup. One thing, but also like you're now going back to doing it, annually. And I know you had some time down for a little bit, so you probably had some breathing room and rest of not worrying about it. But like, how hectic is it, and what kind of operation is it to do?
I fucking love it, and I love every minute of it, because it's like, when I was doing it before, I was a promoter, and I was doing like different things, and like I had to worry about this show, this production for this, production for this. Now I don't have to do I don't promote shows. I do my other stuff. I love the process of putting this together. It's so much fun. Like, it's actually it's like I'm putting together a show that I want to fucking see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm not going to ever tell them, oh, it's so fucking hard. It's like, no, if it was hard, or like it was too much of bullshit, I wouldn't fucking do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm 53 years old. I don't need the shit. You know what I mean? But I love this. It's like, it's so much fun for me, to be honest. The process of it, I'm also dealing with a lot of these people that are agents, are my friends, are good friends of mine. And, you know what I mean? It's like, and so the whole process of it is great. The whole staff with Mass Concerts is amazing. The Palladium staff is great too. It's a good time. And plus, like, I grew up there. You know what I mean? It's my. I worked there for 23 years, so it's like, it's my house. You know what I mean? So it works out very well. So yeah, is it hard work? It's enjoyable work. It's fun work for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It just seems difficult. It just seems like a monumental task, because again, you're dealing with. I don't know how or when you start doing this kind of, or when you start booking it, but like, you've got like, 50 bands or something like that, and you got to juggle all of these itineraries and tour schedules and stuff like that, and big bands, small bands, doesn't matter. And then thinking of like where to place them, like you were saying, you can't have anyone up against Nails. You don't want to have, like, I'm sure you don't want to have bands that sound similar up against each other either. You want to have probably like a metal band and a hardcore band playing at the same time. I don't know what your thought process is.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I have a partner who does it with me, Justin Leach, and then we have some other people that work with us, that do things with us, help us with line up and coordinating with everything like that. It's it's work. It is work, but it's like I said, it's just putting the grid together and making all who's doing what, who's touring when, how's this. You're dealing with probably literally 5 different agents, or probably 3 different agencies. You know what I mean? And part of the whole thing. It sounds hard. It sounds like it's geometry, but it's not. It's just addition and subtraction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess.
Does that make sense?
I guess when you boil it down to like the bare bolts, it's not that difficult. But again, you know what I mean? For me, I have no experience, no idea of what it costs, or not costs, but what it takes.
I have the experience to do it. And I work with people that do this.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it work. I mean, Joe Schmo from Idaho can't do it. I mean, look at the guy who just did it in fucking Connecticut. He fucking screwed the pooch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, dude. I think we broke that story in general. Yeah, Capulet.
That guy fucking whatever.
We should probably, before we get into that, we should probably mention that as of today, which this episode will come out tomorrow because of this timely contest we're running, but we're giving away a couple New England Metal and Hardcore Festival tickets on Lambgoat, but also our subsidiary network sites like This Day in Metal and some other websites too. So get in the description or the podcast, thing and find the links and get you some free tickets.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So anyway, yes, Capulet Festival. Yeah, that was up in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, that was really funny. I actually feel bad for that human, but it's like I mean, you can't just do this. You can't just throw money and it's going to happen. It's like the Wayne World thing. If you book it, they will come. No, dog, it don't work that way. You know what I mean?
It did seem kind of weird because, again, like I remember that going down and staying glued to my phone that weekend because I had a feeling that it would get canceled altogether because there was a bunch of like stuff coming up. And, of course, people hit us up about this, that, or the other. But, we get a lot of anonymous emails in general. So we can't really like chase the rabbit down each of those holes all the time. But August Burns Red played, and I was like, well, they obviously got paid at least, so maybe it won't get canceled. But then, shortly after, I think the festival got shut down during the festival because they didn't pay the venue or something like that. And this is this is after they moved it from the racetrack to the actual venues. But
I mean, I don't think that guy has any fucking money. I think he tried real hard. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I mean, is what it is. You know what I mean? But it's one of those things where it's like he bit off too much, to chew. It's like I just think that there's people out there that are doing festivals and doing things like like Canadian Winter festivals are great. It's like everything like Furnace Fest, all that stuff is great. But it's a fucking risk. You know what I mean? It's like it's like people complain about ticket prices or this or that. It's like, I feel like these, it's like, it's expensive to do this.
I could only imagine.
It really is. So when you're sitting there looking at like, you're going to see all these bands for 110, 100, whatever, $110. It's like, it's kind of a deal. You know what I mean? I feel
for sure.
I feel like a lot of these ticket price, like, it's like, I mean, shit, Taylor Swift tickets. How much were those?
Hundreds? Well, I don't know. They're probably scalped, but yeah, hundreds after that.
A crazy story about girls going to Taylor Swift's shows and wearing diapers so they wouldn't have to leave and go pee.
I've heard that too.
That's fucking crazy. What the fuck?
That's what I'm going to do for Furnace Fest and Metal and Hardcore, New England Metal and Hardcore Festival too. So I don't want to miss anything. I'm going to wear diapers the entire time. They maybe hacked the game, dude. They might have hacked it.
People throwing away diapers.
Plus, porta potties are, sometimes porta potties aren't the best to use. So, it's like wearing a diaper when you walk in there.
Oh, fuck that shit. There's got to be a clean bathroom somewhere.
Yeah, no, that's a joke. I'm not wearing anything. Yeah, I'm not going to be wearing a diaper, bro. Not even a little bit. But yeah, so like you've been doing this for so long, I'm assuming like, what keeps the passion going? Like what keeps you drawn to not only like booking shows, but like hardcore in general?
I love the music, love the people, love the community with it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's how do I put this? It's real in a sense. You know what I mean? Whether it's like, I don't know, I look at things like, it's like watching shows like back in the 100 Demons back in the day, doing like also seeing back in tune back in the day, Converge like. I can go back and say, "Oh, I saw this back in the," but nowadays it's like the metal and hardcore community and the metalcore community. It's just there's no boxes anymore. There's nothing like everybody's going to a lot of different shows. It's actually a breath of fresh air, and I think I personally just love the community of everything, whether it's metal, hardcore, metalcore, just the people involved with it. You know what I mean? So. It's a lifestyle in the sense. Too.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, that's kind of what attracted me to it when I was a youngster as well. Although it's so much bigger now, and that's another thing I wanted to ask you about, because I talk about it with other hardcore bands, up and coming hardcore bands sometimes, like, and established ones as well. But like, can hardcore get too big? Because obviously, like, where everyone's kind of following Turnstile's not trajectory, but the trajectory of Turnstile is making hardcore really big. Speed as well is one of those bands that's really, I don't want to call it marketable, but they're very popular, whether it's online or via some other kind of like collaboration they've done or whatnot. So my thing is,
it's a beautiful thing though. It really is.
Right.
It's like, it's like in a sense where, it's like you used to see the Kanye West wearing the Slayer shirt or the Kardashian wearing well, they're just trying to, like, some asshole put that on there and said, try this, it's going to be cool. But these bands like Speed, motherfucker got a flute. It's great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like what they're doing and their branding and everything they're doing is awesome. It's a great time. Music's great. Everything's great. And just people are standing up to it. And plus, they're from Australia. That makes it even better because Australian people are great.
Yeah,
it's like that is. But there's other bands out there that are doing similar situations. You know what I mean? It's like the music in itself, metal, hardcore, and metalcore is getting bigger than it's ever been. And I think a lot of it has to do with COVID. People finding things during COVID. Also, it has to do with just like, and also people buying new music because they couldn't go do anything else, so they just went online and drank or they were sick of watching TV and just like blah blah blah. They just went and did this, just bought music and did things and waited for their packages. I think that has a lot to do with it. I think there's it's just I think also the whole scene itself. It's just so much better. And I think it's open-mindedness too. I think the younger kids these days, like I said before, like there's no box for them. You know what I mean? They can go see a City Morgue show, but they'll also go see a Kubla Khan show wearing a Suicide Silence t-shirt, believe it or not. I know that's real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I think there's like, and the internet has made those boxes go away, where it's like, we would do shows back in the day where like cross metal and hardcore shows with Hatebreed and Entombed. Yeah, there's some fights. There's gonna be some fights. You know what I mean? It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But it's like it's we did a show with Shadows Fall and Gore Tory one time at the Palladium, and I think there was a fucking riot almost. Yeah. But it was just like those things happen. It's like, but it nowadays it doesn't. I think it's boxes.
Yeah, and that's pretty interesting too. I think. Mosh pit culture has caught on earlier on, in the 2000s in hip hop and other kind of genres that weren't necessarily privy to having, whether it's push pits or the, I don't know, hardcore dancing, ninja fighting, whatever you want to call it, So I think that also kind of pushed boundaries a little bit. Like you mentioned City Morgue and all those other kind of acts. Those kinds of bands or those kinds of artists also do have mosh pits, and you'll see mosh pits at like Rolling Loud and rap eccentric festivals and stuff like that, where also Turnstile may play every now and then. You never know. But I think also, like you said, the COVID situation probably was a part of it. But I also think a lot of the kids finding videos online, whether it's through Instagram or TikTok or whatever, of mosh pit culture stuff has rarely drawn them to it because they probably have never seen anything like that before, and they just want to see and check it out and get involved.
Was it Knock Loose that played Bonnaroo?
A couple bands have played Bonnaroo, but Knock Loose played Coachella.
Coachella.
Yeah.
Coachella. Yeah, they played Coachella. But that's what I'm saying. That style of music is, look at where it is. You know what I mean? I think it's like there's a whole, like, I think this, our world is, and people like are like, well, fuck that. This is our music. No, man, this is everybody's music. It doesn't matter. Like, look at Hard Lords. You know what I mean? It's like those guys are like, they're doing great podcasts and putting it out there through Knotfest. You know what I mean? They're doing a great job with it. It helps everybody. You know what I mean? It helps Lambgoat. It helps everybody. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's like, I think all the bands, like, as long as they keep the hardcore and the metal mentality and like just helping each other out and doing things, as long as it doesn't go back to like cutthroat or anything like that, I think it's going to get bigger. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of things that help it get bigger. I mean, you know, it's like, it's better festivals doing better things. You know, Furnace Fest, New England Metal and Hardcore Fest. You know, it's like, it's like Sound and fucking Fury. Jesus Christ! Did you watch the videos from that? I wish I could have went to that.
We posted a couple. That's one that I definitely would like to go, but I live in Florida, and that's all the way across the country, so it's more of a trek. But that's definitely something that I would like to check out one day for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they do a great job there. That is the pinnacle of hardcore festival. That is it. You know what I mean? Right there.
Their stage setup is pretty nice too. They got the little stage, but also like the jump barrier, or not the barrier, but the jump box, whatever you want to call it, out front for stage dives.
That's cool. Everything like that. That's so cool. They do a great job with it and stuff. And I think it's like, I don't know. I give them a lot of props. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was just curious because like obviously like I do recall back in the day the allure of hardcore and metalcore, not necessarily metal, because metal's always been kind of the bigger brother of everybody's genre, but I didn't know if like established people were, not gatekeeping, but like being bummed that hardcore is leaving like its core audience and being something more than it, should be or whatever. Because hardcore has always been the smaller brother of everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, how it has to leave. It has to get bigger because look at the internet. The internet's going to make it get bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, sure. Like, people are like, oh, I mean, it's like, think about it. I mean, if you're in a band, you want more people to come to your show than 100 people. If you get 500 people, that's, you make more money. It's better for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the big thing, I think, is when I do the podcast with the smaller bands, I always try to point that out, that there is no money basically in hardcore or small metalcore bands. They don't make a lot of money for the most part, so that's why you should go out and support and buy merch and do all this the other stuff. But in order for your favorite band to stay around, they do have to like pay bills and stuff like that too in their real life. So I'm all for it. And again, like, I don't know if it can ever get mainstream pop big, but it's definitely bigger than I ever remembered it being right now, for sure.
I think I mean, like bands like Turnstile, like,
true.
They have a fucking Taco Bell commercial. Let's go. You know what I mean? There's more things out there. It's like that. I mean, it's cool. Like, let's push the boundaries. Let's see what's up. You know what I mean? It's like, we're all the same people. You know what I mean? We're all same, as long as you have the right proper mentality with it all, and you're working for a proper goal and you have integrity, it's still going to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's great, though. I mean, I like the expansion. I like the new faces. A lot of young kids go to shows these days. When I go to shows, it's like, what the heck? and it's a way more diverse crowd than I remember when I was younger, too. Way more, especially for where I live. But
I'm doing a podcast tomorrow with Kids in the Pit podcast. You ever heard? You know what I'm talking about?
Is that like the 13, 14, 15-year-old kid? Yeah.
Brooke, so this girl, Brooke, who I used to name the Brooke Button Girl, which is what I would call her. And she was like, "Hey, you want to do a podcast with my son?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!"
Yeah.
And like, and he gets on stage like Pennywise and shit like that.
The little punk kid for sure.
Yeah, it's so fucking cool. I love that.
I think I've seen him. He might have been at like Furnace Fest one year or something like that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I'm just saying that because the kids are getting younger. That's
of course, yeah. And again, like, kids will find that guy or that kid on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube. And, I didn't have an older brother show me music. So it's always good that they have that outlet, someone that maybe not familiar with this style of music and they'll just stumble upon it on the internet somehow, And and then it takes over your life, and then you're a degenerate forever.
Yeah, you're done for. You're done for.
Who are you looking forward to the most at this year's festival? Do you have someone? I mean, I know you've seen most of these bands, but like, do you have someone that you're really looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to the Killswitch show. Converge is always a party.
Right.
I mean, like I said, Nails is fucking there. Red Core is fucking great. I mean, there's a band called Life Cycles that I really like. I just put them out on my label 1126, and they're great guys from fucking Texas and thrashy fucking. They're great. I think people should check them out. But man, like, listen, we got Converge, we got Machine Head. After the Burial, Full of Hell, like this lineup goes on and on. Like I literally built this for everything I wanted to do. I'm not trying to sound conceited or anything like that. I just want to, like, this is fucking back to. So yeah, I don't know. I want to see one of the bands I really like to see, and I've missed so much. I missed at festivals I went to. I haven't seen Slaughter to Prevail in a whole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that's one. It's like, oh, Missing Link.
Yep.
Missing Link's a good time. Paul, bad friend Paul, my barber, we're actually going out to get dinner in a moment with Tom here.
Nice. We had those guys on the podcast not too long ago.
Yeah, they're great. Good old Bruce LePage did a guest spot on their new record. Yeah, man. I mean, there's some great upcoming bands, and I think the smaller room's going to be packed front to back. Like last year, we had Ringworm, and we put Ringworm 3:30 in the afternoon, and man, there was 1,000 people in that fucking room. It holds 500 people. I'm sorry, and I was like, I was like, holy shit, this is fucking great. And for instance, it's like, thank you so much. This is great. I'm like, yeah, man, it's fucking amazing.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to. That's some good shit, like stuff like that.
And Year of the Knife is making one of their comebacks.
Oh,
at the
fuck
show,
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so Maddie and all them.
This might be the first show back. I'm not sure.
I think her and her husband played a show in their other band that was a couple months ago, a different, smaller band. But yeah, this might be Year of the Knife's first show back for sure.
Oh, yeah. Then there's Trail of Lies, too. Are you familiar with them?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Ooh.
I'll have to write that one down and look into it.
Check that out. That's a good one. And then good old Boston boys, Death Before Dishonor.
Yeah, I'm well aware of. Yep.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'll tell you, the Boston scene, whenever they would come down to Jacksonville or Florida, they were always terrifying. Like they would come down like Joe and Shattered Realm, and because Evergreen Terrace was on Eulogy, and so like you'd have On Broken Wings and Shattered Realm and all these other Eulogy bands like kind of tour together.
On Broken Wings is playing too.
Oh, that's yeah, that's dope too. I hope they play a lot more, to be honest with you. I really miss seeing them live. As I used to see them frequently, back in the day. But
I just got tattooed. Probably 6 months ago I got tattooed by John Blake.
Nice.
That's my dude. I love John Blake.
But yeah, their little crews would come down here and just fucking mollywop everybody, and I was just so terrified of being in the pit with those guys. Sometimes I was so small though back in the day, and they were much bigger dudes.
Yeah, man, this is a great lineup. I mean, it's like, it's like we're trying to do some different things. It's like we have a VIP ticketing thing that's going to be really cool. We're going to have a lot of special things involved with that. But you got to check out the ticketing and the VIP ticketing on the website. But you can get a foam hand. This look like this.
Nice,
cool. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a really good fucking time.
It's definitely a diverse lineup, and the addition of like a band like Slaughter to Prevail is kind of wild too. But I mean, like that Russian deathcore band, right? Like, who would have thought that their trajectory and their like success would be so rapid? Like, they're another band that I think that is like really benefiting from social media and stuff like that, and they do the crazy big walls of death now. Like that, a couple weeks ago they had like this insane wall of death out there in Hellfest, and it was it was insane, and the masks and all that stuff and everything. Even he does like have some controversy surrounding Alex and stuff like that, but that doesn't seem to matter when he's wrestling bears or boxing dudes in the ring or doing walls of death. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
The guy is a great entertainer. He's a great deathcore vocalist, and I will call him my friend. And I've had many conversations with him, and he puts feet on the ground, butts in the seats,
Yeah.
and he's a good human.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to leave with that one. I think, and the band's fucking amazing. You know
Yeah,
what
I saw them.
can't
Go
see
ahead.
them-
Sorry.
I can't wait to see them in full. I haven't seen them in full yet. So
Yeah, I was going to say my first time catching them was this past summer at Rockville. They played one of the stages at Rockville down here in Daytona, and again that crowd was insane for a smaller stage because they didn't play one of the headlining stages because obviously like big bands like Limp Bizkit and other fucking crazy bands, like Kiss and all that stuff play those, but they had this huge crowd for their set, and it was kind of wild to see.
they're a great band. I mean, also, it's like that band Shadow Intent that's playing too. That's opening on that day too. They're great. Like that whole deathcore metal type world, it engulfs. It's very catchy with the metal community, and like I don't know, man. It works. You know what I mean? It's like take the deathcore, put the metalcore with it. It's I don't know. It's just I don't know if you call it deathcore. I just call it like death metal. Just I don't know.
It's all blended at this point, man.
Yeah.
Everything's such a blender version of everything. Because, I have this conversation quite a bit. A lot of these younger cats these days, much younger than you or I, grew up listening to like Slipknot and every other band that we used to listen to as well. And they've just melded everything together. So, like you said, there's no boxes anymore. They're just trying all sorts of weird shit. Deathcore's, Deathcore in general is just having a revival with Job for a Cowboy coming back and all these other like Suicide Silence type bands and Suicide Silence obviously, but they all are seeing a bunch of success now, and I guess that is because of COVID. Really, when you boil it down to like there was just a big peak of like people finding new music, not only going to shows because everything was locked up, but like they just found a bunch of new music and found like a new identity for themselves, I guess.
Yeah, man, I think it has a big thing to do with how big this music is. I really do. You know what I mean? And it's like, is what it is. Take it. It's like, it's good for everyone. It's good for the bands, good for the fans, good for everything going on, venues and everything.
So how do you take all that and like all your experience and roll it into 1126 and like with the bands that you either choose to work with or have worked with in the past?
Well, we put. We did the first I Am record,
mm-hmm.
and then we did the first Vatican record, and then we did. We're looking. 1126 Records is a label that we try to bring bands in and then bring them up to different labels. You know what I mean? That's what it is. It's a cool farm league right now. What we're trying to do with it. We did the same thing with Mouth for War.
Mm-hmm.
They're also playing the fest. And they're on Monarch Records, and that's what it comes down to. And we're just trying to build bands and try to work with them and keep pushing them along.
Yeah, I think that's kind of we resurrected Lambgoat Records after a decade plus of being dormant. So we're actually going to launch a pre-order tomorrow for our first real band. Pariah, they were like a tech metalcore band from back in the day from Nebraska.
Yeah, I remember Pariah. Yeah.
So we were dropping their new EP in August. We also did some stuff with 18 Visions for their Purgatorio EP. Did some variants and stuff like that. It was really cool to work with them on that. But yeah, that's kind of like where our mindset is at too. Like obviously we're not going to be like Sony or Universal. So if we can find a couple bands to kind of like boost up and pass to the next level, that'd be great too.
Yeah, man. It's part of more record labels that are doing the right things, the better. You know what I mean? It's like that's what it comes down to. It's like getting music out there and helping the bands and pushing it. That's what it is. That's what more or less what I do it for. I it's like it makes me feel really good looking at how how I Am has grown and how things like that. How Mouth of War is growing right now. It's like. We have a new band called Tracheotomy.
Yeah.
We just put out. That band's fucking. You guys did an interview with them.
Yeah.
That band is fucking sick. Simon's gonna be a superstar someday.
Yeah, that kid was interesting because he's so young and he's kind of clueless as to the history of. I mean, like he's done research and done his homework, but in the beginning when he was trying to be in a band, he was kind of like clueless as to like everything, and it's just wild to see like. They just put an EP out or a song or two, and then next thing you know, it's like wildfire for them. And there's a lot of bands kind of like that, like 200 Stab Wounds, who's also going to be playing on, Metal and Hardcore Festival. They're one of the real lucky bands that just kind of, I don't know if they're lucky, but they just have everything going for them and everything clicks. and it just like wildfire. You know, they're touring with all big death metal bands at this point. You know,
it's part of this whole thing. You know what I mean? Like bands, I think bands just going out there and doing the hard work and doing the tours and doing the proper tours and doing things like that also helps them immensely. You know what I mean?
I think like you said, it's all genuine. Whereas like and I'm not going to say anything negative about certain metalcore bands, but there are certain bands and certain genres that you can see that may not be doing it for the right reasons, trying to write hit records and stuff like that. But I find that in like hardcore, that's really hard to come by, and you can't really duplicate like a Turnstile song or trajectory or, you know, again, there's a lot of hard work and years put into Turnstile before they popped in general. So I think a lot of people forget that.
Turnstile played 2014 Metal Fest. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say they had like 10 plus years before they popped.
You're not wrong. There's so many different bands that are out there like did the hard work, but now people are like trying to mimic some of these bands. You know what I mean?
They all want James Hetfield and Judas Priest on the side stage rocking out while they're playing a festival.
Dude.
That's what Turnstile got.
That's so sick. I watched that. I was like, that's kind of cool. They love Freaky Francis band. That's cool. You know what I mean? So like,
and the fact that James like knew some of the words was kind of like very telling. I mean, Judas might just be out there because, you know, he's with James, but James knew some of the fucking lyrics, and I was like, that's kind of astounding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good stuff. Also, are you familiar with the band Since the Flood?
Since the Flood, yeah.
We're 11/26 is reissuing No Compromise.
Oh, nice.
And that'll be at Metal Fest too.
Nice.
So that's they're very excited about that. They're old though.
I was gonna say they're back in the day when I was too afraid to get into some of those pits. They were some of the bands that were being around.
Yeah, they're definitely that. They're definitely one of those Boston bands.
Where did that come from? Because you kind of grew up around that area and you're kind of privy to it. But like, where did the overall vibe of like big beatdown guys come from? Of like, because it was such a different style of mosh from like what I was used to at the time. And then
you have to understand something. New England people are a different breed of people.
Okay.
Now you put, you know, it's like blue collar worker type person who, you know, get into the core, get into like, you know, your friends are a bunch of hooligans, and this is what happens. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, these are bands that, you know, like I said, we're New England people. We shovel for 5 months out of the year, basically. You know what I mean? So it's like
I never got that. I never got why you put up with that.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. Part of life. You know, I'd rather, you know, it's like cool. It's like, you know, how do you guys live in the mouth breathing state of Florida?
It's pretty cool. It's just hot sometimes and, you know, humid. That's about it. It's very hot and humid right now. Like you'll walk outside and instantly kind of start sweating. But other than that,
it's the same thing here. But I think one of the things is just like very prideful people. We're also very prideful people when we're coming, you know, supporting bands and doing things. And I remember, you know, people going, you have to check this band out called Death Before Honor. And I'm like, and they're playing the Tigers Den, and I'm like, I'm okay, cool. We're gonna go there. Okay, yeah, it's a big scary place, and you got Colin of Arabia running around smashing. Like it's real. That's what it comes down to. You have to understand where this comes from. You know what I mean? And it's like they're the boogeyman. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But there are a lot of these people are some of the best human beings in the fucking world. You know, and it's great, and I'm glad to be around this. You know, I'm glad to grow up around it too.
Yeah,
you know,
that's something.
I'm pretty old, so
yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
That's something that I mean, again, I wasn't so around it as much being from Florida, but as I've gotten older, and you know, I've talked to Colin and other people as well, and it, you know, putting the pieces together over the last couple of years is kind of interesting. But you know, whenever I have someone from that time frame, yourself included, I like to just pick their brain about it because, you know, it is a wild, it's just wild, like to the person from the outside, it's wild, you know what I mean? And it's also wild for me too.
I've been in 3 hate breed riots. It's cool. I could, you know, it's like, it's part of life, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's a lifestyle. This whole thing is a lifestyle, you know, It's like, Amy and I will sit there and talk about back in the day shit. Like, it's funny. It's really funny. And I'm like, and like, there's a picture of Bruce LePage's nose, like over here. You know what I mean? Because it's just part of the whole lifestyle of this whole thing, you know? But
At what point?
I don't know.
At what point did you guys up there realize that, you know, hardcore or like Hatebreed or certain bands from that area were really, you know, making a dent in like not just hardcore or metal, but like music in general? Because, you know, Hatebreed started fucking 30 plus years ago, and now they're like one of the biggest bands playing they played Ozfest. They'll play, you know, big major festivals all over the world, and now they're like, you know, really a force to be reckoned with. And there's many bands like them too.
Well, you have to understand something. Hatebreed helped so many bands.
Yeah.
Jamie helped so many bands, whether it's old, Agnostic Front, younger, you know, The Shadows Fall, The All That Remains, the you know, The Unearthed, The Overcast, all those bands, you know what I mean? It was, you know, they started the whole thing. You know what I mean? That's one band that started. And Jamie just persevered. And, you know, it's like, as much as people talk shit about Victory Records, they fucking promoted the fuck out of them. But Hatebreed promoted themselves, and Jamie was a monster with that shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, he definitely was a workhorse.
That record, you know, the record. It was great. It was the best metal, hardcore, metalcore, whatever fucking record, whatever you want to put it in the box. It's that record. You know what I mean? It's that direction. You know, it's like, and I think that helps so many different bands. Where and also the thing what we're doing is we're doing cross shows. Like I said before, like we did Entomb with Converge or Entomb with Hatebreed when they would come over, or different things like that. You know, it's like Obituary. Like Jamie would promote shows as well in Connecticut, crossover bands and stuff like that. It was part of the whole thing. I mean, that was one of the bands. Also, bad friend Paul's getting mad at me. I know. Bad friend Paul's waiting for me outside. But like, you know, bands like Blood for Blood, those are other bands that did, you know, started the whole thing with the, I mean, it's just, you know, this whole thing, it was, you know, just linchpins off of the different bands and people helping each other. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, look at Blood has been shed. You know what I mean? It's like Blood has been shed. Howard went to Killswitch Engage. Everybody helps each other. You know, Aftershock, you know, members went to Shadows Fall, went to Killswitch Engage, went to blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's one of the reasons why this area is so big, because it has, like, we have all-stars coming out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
sure.
it helps it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And I think it's very, do you guys realize, I mean, obviously now, looking back 2020, hindsight, you probably realize it, but like at the time, did you guys realize what like force New England was on like hardcore and metal? Because, you know, like from here, from us or like the West Coast, you know, a lot of things that happened, like lore wise, happened in your area of the world. And it just seems like, you know, were you cognizant of that back then? Or is it something that you look back going like, damn, you know, that was fucking, we were there for that.
Oh, we I think a lot of it has to do with like we're just, it was part of life. It's part of this. You know what I mean? We're going to do, you know, I mean, it's like Casey String got signed to Prosthetic Records back in the day, but that was coming, All the Remains was there before that, blah, blah, blah. It was like, I mean, you know, Victory, you know, it's like Within the Ruins got signed to Victory. You know, it's all like all the bands around here got signed. That's what a lot of it came about too. You know what I mean? But we're also all stars. You know what I mean? And I think you know, nothing against Orange County, but I think they looked at this too and like kind of like mimicked it a little bit. You know?
Yeah, there was a little of that because Orange County was definitely a hotbed as well. We only had like Kids Like Us and Terrace. That was basically our like plug to the world. Which thank God for them.
You had, what do you call it though? You had Wiley. You had you know, Eulogy going down there and stuff like that.
Yeah. But again, that was from, you know, Evergreen. So I think without Evergreen and Kids Like Us, we don't get as many cool shows. And then shout out to like our local guy Mikey, who's been booking shows since I was a younger kid, and he still is doing it. You know, we talk all the time out front, his shows all the time, and just about back in the day. But yeah, I mean, I think without those connections, I probably wouldn't be as in deep as I am either. You know, because that's how I found out about like Trustkill and Ferret and all the New England bands and Victory and all that stuff.
I mean, listen, I love our community. I love I have some of the oldest, best friends in my life. One's waiting outside for me right now. My wife's going to let him in because he's mad. His bad friend Paul. But it's like he was in recon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like meeting him, I met him through acacia strain, doing this or whatever. Mike Recon now is in acacia strain. It's like the whole thing is just it's all incestuous, but it's also a lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why we did the festival too. It's like I went to see the Milwaukee Metal Fest back in the day, and with Shadows Fall, and the other promoter was doing it, not Jamie, and we're like, yo, we can do this here. We can do the same thing, but better here with hardcore bands and bringing our flavor to this. And that's what the New England Metal and Hardcore Festival came from, that idea.
Yeah. I remember a lot of festivals, quote unquote festivals, before festivals were a thing, like Bonnaroo and Coachella and all these big, big festivals. But I remember like going to Hellfest in 2004, and I remember like smaller like festivals just regionally here. And so it was weird when festivals started popping up again like that.
Game in.
What's up, guy?
What up?
The whole squad's there. I won't keep Scott much longer, I promise. We got like 5-10 more minutes, and you guys can go get a hoagie or whatever the hell you're going to get.
We got to go to Theodore's.
Theodore's.
Listen, we got gambling to do.
Hey, I get it. Dice to shoot, fucking bets to place.
He's great. That's good hair,
yeah,
by the way.
Yeah. We could talk about being haters too, but I don't want to do that on the podcast. I liked our little hater conversation afterwards, Paul. But yeah. It's been very cool, and I think one of the cool things about, like you mentioned, Colin and Bo doing hard lore. I think one of the cool things, the best thing about their podcast, I would say, is that they are dudes that are in hardcore, from hardcore, in bands that play hardcore and do stuff still, and they have the access to like talking to those old bands that they looked up to, and they speak the language. They know the times. They know everything, kind of, because they grew up doing their homework on that, unknowingly doing the homework, and now they get to have those stories shared through somebody that maybe not. Like I probably wouldn't be able to pull out certain stories from somebody as like they would. Obviously, they clearly have the background and wherewithal to do that, and I think that's one of the reasons I enjoy their podcast so much, because I do love the VH1 behind the music type scene that they have going on. I love that.
Did you watch the one they just did with Stigma?
I did not, but that's on the to-do list for
They
sure.
go to the fucking church. You go to a fucking church, and Stigma's talking about people buried. I was like, fuck, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I do. I don't know if that's a clip from their podcast, but I saw something that Stigma, to back up your thing about Hatebreed. Stigma was saying like the only band that's really helped them out ever was Hatebreed, Agnostic Front.
I'm telling you straight up, Hatebreed and everybody that's been in Hatebreed and Joshua has done so much for this fucking community. Everybody needs to thank that guy and thank that band. You know what I mean? That is a keystone for this genre of metalcore, and hardcore. I mean, look at the tour he's doing right now with Carcass and everything like that. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, I saw them with Testament.
Yeah. Fuck. I love Testament.
Yeah, they played in Orlando a couple years ago or something, and it was for like one of the anniversaries.
But that band's also the same band. Like they are Nails. They are exactly like what I just said to you before. It's like they are the original Nails. Who do you put against that?
Yeah.
Who plays against? You know what I mean? So it's like it's Hatebreed Nails tour would be amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is that gonna? I mean, like, what's Todd up to? Is he gonna be doing a lot more like tours and shows?
Man. I don't speak of Todd. I don't speak. I don't know. I know him a little bit. And like, I'm just happy to have him on the fest, and I'm happy he's doing music, and it's good shit. You know what I mean? There's
certain people that I'm very timid to reach out to just because of the Lambgoat lore. Scott Vogel from Terror. I've talked to him in person, but I haven't really gotten him on the podcast or anything like that. But there's certain people that just endlessly pop up in the comments as a running joke, and Todd's one of those, and Scott's one of those. So it's like I am very timid to like, hey man, you want to come on the podcast or do something with us? Because they may hate the commenters, but Lambgoat's not the commenters. I try to drill that to everybody, but we can only do so much.
You can only do so much, Todd, they're both great people. You know what I mean? And they both do a lot of good for this community as well. So.
Well, one day maybe we can have everybody on the podcast, and it would be okay.
You should come to Metal Fest and do a podcast on Metal Fest. I can put you in a room.
Oh, when is that? September? Damn. We might be able to, but we also are traveling for Funners Fest too. So we'll see.
That's not that far from you though.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, not speaking of which, but I just reminded myself. There's another festival that's going to go on the same fucking weekend as yours. We don't have.
Called?
I was going to say we don't have to say the name, but it may be a competitor.
The Riot Fest?
No.
Oh, I don't. What that other festival?
The other festival, yeah.
New York?
Yeah, the New York one.
Oh, let them have their fun.
Okay, I thought it was quite just poor timing.
You understand it's the second time they've done it too in a row.
No, I didn't. But at least,
Actually,
but the other one was on West Coast, right?
Yeah. I don't care. They're good people. I don't. Whatever. It's like maybe someday we can sit down and go. You should do yours this way. We'll do ours this way. They're good people. I'm not talking shit. But Riot Fest is also the same weekend.
Right.
Who knows? I like Riot Fest. I mean, I think the New York Festival is fine.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that, Scott. I just think it was awkward timing and awkward. They announced theirs a little after yours, and I was like, no one's gonna. Poor timing, dude. No one's gonna go to that. Or
I was aware of it. I was like, "What are you guys doing?" You know what I mean? Like,
it's totally different vibes. Obviously, it's more metal oriented, but I mean, even then,
they're good people though. I'm not gonna dog them. You know what I mean?
I'm not asking you to dog them. I'll dog them.
Maybe next year we can go get some. Maybe next year we can go get some ramen and talk it out, and maybe figure something out.
Just another weekend, maybe another month. You don't have to do the same month.
Yeah, maybe.
People's pocketbooks are hurting.
Yeah. Well, cool. You got anything else for me?
No, I was going to say, Scott, thank you for your time. I know you got some people waiting on you. Paul, Tom, thank you for making cameos. Tom, maybe I'll see you someday soon. I don't know where you're going to be next, but you seem to pop up periodically all the time where I'm at.
I just popped up right here.
Hey, buddy.
I'm going to see you in a mall, probably. You want to go to the mall?
We can go. We can go to the food court, maybe a Hot Topic, something like that.
Awesome.
Maybe an old FYE. Go buy like $18.
I love the graveyard of an FYE.
Yeah, we'll do it, man. We'll do it. Guys, have a great dinner and gambling, and enjoy the rest of your day, brothers.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you.
No, have a good one, bro.